time, weather, and always glass.
Hello everyone. Hello everyone to yet another roundtable around women in tech. But I'll make sure I'll try being a Rajiv Masand and making it a bit quirky this time and talking about different biases and things around women in tech and topics that really matter to us. First of all, I'd like to start with an introduction about myself. Hello, I am Pratim Bhosle and I am a developer advocate and I work as a growth hacker also. I have been in the tech industry since the last 3 and 4 years, and it's been a great journey. And tech is indeed a place where we need to have more women. I'd like to introduce Vaishnavi. Vaishnavi is a software engineer, and we have Nikita. Nikita is a founder of a space organization, and we also have Chanda, who is an engineering manager and one of the booming Web3 and blockchain companies. So welcome today, and it's good to have you here.
Great. Excited as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we need to have more conversations around with women on these roundtables where we discuss what are the things that are required in the tech space, because I guess we can be the only perfect advocates for ourselves. Just to get the ball rolling, I'd like to start with Chanda and understand, so how did your journey in tech start, Chanda?
That's a very classic question I get, almost every time, right? So I think I come almost 18 years behind me, right? Of experience behind me. So I come from a time where obviously women in tech was upcoming, theme, right? So yeah, a lot of challenges, right? From getting into college, surviving the college, and then obviously, getting into your job industry and everything, right? I think, but what I really want to say is the kind of challenge was more, kind of self-instilled rather than anything else, right? Because as women in that time, with the kind of family I come from, right, there was very low guidance around in terms of, whom to look up to and where to draw that inspiration from, which we really need in day-to-day life, right? So you can call me as the rebel in the family, right? Setting up things for everyone, in fact. And I feel proud about that, because after me, I did see a lot of my, cousins and others, kind of making a lot of progress in their careers. I was the first one in my whole extended family. So I think that whole challenge was truly self-instilled rather than anything else. I had that courage to step up. I had that support from my parents to, kind of do something beyond which was not possible in that time. But from there, I think it's once you start breaking those initial barriers. Right? It's all flows naturally, is what I will say. But it's very important to start breaking those small, steps and small barriers as you walk along. One good thing is I did get support, needed support from my friends and family and my people surrounding me at almost all spheres of my life, right? Which is very, very important, I would say.
True.
But truly speaking, it's all about breaking your mental model at times and then moving forward with it. So it's been challenging. It's been kind of you keep challenging yourself each and every time. Not only early, by the way. You face a lot of such barriers throughout your career, right? Being a woman, there are tons of other responsibilities which will keep coming your way, right?
Yeah.
And every phase has to be taken differently, truly speaking, right? Every phase has a different challenge to speak. I think from where I started to where I am today, every year I have been, kind of coping with a new challenge, right? And coming up with a new formula to solve that challenge, basically. So it's been exciting, and that is what excites us, right? I mean, excitement, something new is what excites us, right? Day to day.
I think I have a lot of questions for you, Chanda, and majorly I'd also want just one more follow-up question is was getting into tech your choice? Was it by option, or you just fell into the field? Someone asked you to do this? Was there someone else who said that there's this typical thing, there is scope in this?
Yeah.
Was it because of that?
I wish I had someone, truly speaking, as I said, right, there was absolutely no guidance around, right? For me, I think way back in 1999 time frame, right, when I was trying to enter an engineering college, the whole engineer word looked quite fabulous to me, right? It was like, wow, I want to be an engineer, and that word itself, kind of drove me towards, getting into an engineering college without any understanding of what does it really mean for you, right? Where will it take you? So I had no idea where will it take me. And I think, as I said, right, every year it was a new experience. I kept learning, I kept exploring, and eventually, kind of every year was more and more exploration to try and understand. And there was a point in time very early in my career where I started thinking myself as a tech leader in this whole industry, right? And I'm still now in that journey. But yeah, I think now when we talk about it, things are very, very different, right?
Yeah.
Very, very different. So I'm happy that things have evolved over the period of time, right? And I do see a lot of positive energy around, especially women in tech. There's so many, kind of different roles women are playing in the industry, but it was very different back then.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it was just, I want to become an engineer. Right? And for me, it was like, kuch to karna hai.
Kuch to karna hai.
And then, I just don't want that typical. Kind of education which my family had planned for me. So I thought at that time maybe engineering is something very, very different, right? It was at that point. Today it might not be, truly speaking, but it was at that point of time.
I think it's like we've grown from saying that I want to build families to I want to build products. Mm-hmm. That's how we've grown. Our journey has grown, and I think that's been the whole tech journey of women and how our mentalities have changed. And it's been I think as days are going ahead, like the environment is being very supportive, right? And I think with you're a founder of a space agency. It's a research center, right? Seems like a huge deal. Like it's so much that there must be recruiting, there must be different areas where you're looking for talent. What are the trends that you have seen when you're hiring or when you're looking for any kind of like new talent? How do women approach such, because the space is a niche area, right? It's something not anyone will pick up. It's a very niche thing. So have you seen women being more skeptical about it, or what do you think? How has the basic trend? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. See, I hire for myself. Also, I've been helping few startups to hire talent for them, and I keep looking hundreds of profiles, and I see I would talk about girls because I'm dealing with the girls, so I would use the word girls. So the girls, I see the girls are like pretty interested, and their profiles are even better than the other counterpart, and that interest is over there. Now, what makes it different from like everyone is the skills that are added, and there are set of skills that are required to be in this tech, and that's like really important, which I see is what our girls lack in. Of course, we girls think that that's a mindset. We all have that, okay, I need to attend the classes, I shouldn't lose any attendance, I should score well. This is what has been like one of the major trends that girls have been focusing on, wherein they're like, I'm studying, this is my exam and I'm done, right? I feel girls have to come out and do more of the skills that they have to learn, which is like really, really, really important in the companies right now. For sure, there are girls who've been doing well, who've identified or who felt like I gotta be good in everything. Now they are the one who are in the highest role or in the leadership roles. Right. That's something that I've identified so far, and as well as for me, what I usually look at is again not the marks. I mean, I'm pretty sure this trend is. This is going to be a trend soon.
Right.
No one is going to look at the marks.
They already don't. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's more of like, what are you good at? What other things do you know other than what you know? Absolutely. That's exactly what people look for while selecting an astronaut, and that's getting common in everything. So that's what I have identified as.
Totally. And I feel a lot of this, like the responsibility for this mindset, as much as it should be on the students or the people, it should also be on the workplaces that are looking for hiring. While it's always going to be easier for people who are in power or who are in a position to make changes, to bring in changes quickly rather than expecting every single person to bring in that mindset change. Like having good programs, having programs which will inculcate these kind of activities among women or like girls especially, like hey, you should break you should break this bias, as she was saying, that break some barriers, try doing something different.
Exactly.
Having the opportunity to take risk is something that girls have been scared of. Like, what if I fail? What if I fail? While I've noticed that my male counterparts, friends, are more open to taking risks. Like, they're like, let's see, what happens.
Exactly.
But with girls, like, oh, what will my family say? I've already taken this step.
See, traditionally, I think women, right, they were never decision makers, right?
Right.
So I think that's
Absolutely.
what, kind of instills that again from the childhood, from the upbringing. And all. We've never been decision makers. Now, obviously, the trend has changed. I'm talking for my, time. We are not the ones who take decisions at home. We are not the ones who are risk takers. It's a more male dominated, kind of decisions at home. But now the things are changing. So I'm
sure,
sure
a lot.
And we do see, a lot
like
of risk takers
recently
here, right? We have founders.
Yeah, like recently I was hiring for a job which is in Maldives, and they have to work from there, and it was like clearly mentioning this is in Maldives, so I was open for even a boy or a girl. I mean, like, this role needs you to be there far away, and it's particularly being in the evening and looking at the stars and showing it to everyone. And I'm like, I clearly specified, like, this is like, are you okay? Are your parents okay? And everyone whom I spoke to were like, my parents are fine with anything, and it's my decision. That's where I felt so good. Okay,
Yeah.
like, this is open for everyone. You don't have to limit yourself because you're a girl.
Right, exactly. Like, as you're saying, now that we've started taking our decisions, we are more scared. Like, okay, the fact that I'm taking it already, what if it goes wrong? Whereas this was always an option for the other person or other counterparts. Now that we've started taking decisions, it's a bit scarier, I think, for some, like for young girls. One thing that I've seen a recent trend with companies having in their resumes or even the job descriptions is there's this one good line that says, "Be your own CEO." Like, if it's every startup that I have like interviewed for or I have consulted, they're like, hey, listen, we need you to be your own CEO. And when there are more women taking up this line, that's when I feel they'll be more responsible, they'll be more confident. And like your journey, I think, in tech has started like 1 year.
Less than a year, actually.
wow,
It's been, I would say, 7 or 8 months. So,
Okay.
yeah,
So-
relatively an infant.
I think it's the same playground for everyone. It's majorly on skills. But how have you, like, our panel is experienced, is like mid experienced, and you're like just starting out. I think with our generation, most of these biases have been broken to an extent.
That is true.
Have you noticed any of these issues when you started
I
with your
think that to
career?
break a pattern, it either has to start at the grassroots level, or when you grow older, you have to have that stubbornness in you to say, this isn't what I want for myself. And I think I am a little stubborn that way. So whenever I do see either my counterparts getting something that even I want for myself, but then I'm being restricted in some way, I'll be like, no, I want the same things too. But it's just a little tougher. And just building on what Nikita said about how girls are supposed to, they are told to chase numbers, because the minute you get into school, you're, told to get so many marks or achieve a certain thing.
Right.
So you're just you're chasing numbers throughout your life. Like,
right.
even when I started engineering, I was told that this is the CGPA you need for recruitments. So then you forget about what really matters. There's so much exposure that you can get out of college. There's so much of like experiences too, because at that point of time you haven't really learned anything, and there's so many fields to explore. So limiting yourself to the classroom is just the first mistake, especially when they tell you that this is what you need for recruitments. Then you get so worried because your job is going to be based on what you're doing. So then it just sets in, and you're like, okay, if that's the number I need to get, then that's all I'll do. And there's so many other things I'm missing out on. You could be connecting with people and trying to get ideas and building skills, like you said, but then instead of that, you're just focusing on theory that may or may not even matter in the next 4 years.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So even when you go for recruitments, you understand that that's just the first step, and there's so many other steps involved. Unfortunately, I do see companies doing the same thing, where they do, based on the population of a college, they will filter based on your CGPA, which I think is, again, it needs to stop, but unfortunately that is what happens. So finding a balance is very tricky, but at the same time, I think that you have to do it for yourself more than anyone else, especially if you want the exposure that
Right, right. I totally agree. This also brings me to my next question. Like, I want to understand from the perspective of all the three of you, what good, like, there are a lot of programs that companies are coming up with, corporations are coming up with to make women more comfortable, to make them feel included and not feel left out, awkward. What are some good programs that you've felt that, damn, this is a program that should have been in every single company that I've worked with? And similarly, on the other side, what are some things that you felt should change? It's high time it's changed. Like, I want to know, like, you've been in the industry for the past 18 years and you've been in the industry for like past 8 months. So some, like, from you and then even on from your side, what are the programs that you think you want to have on in your organization? Chanda, please.
I think, as I mentioned, right, I think especially women, right, what she also mentioned, at core, right, we chase perfection, right, and we kind of are very single focused, do the best at your job and, kind of target that, right. I've seen this pattern with many women around, right, and I think that is where a lot of companies these days, right, they understand the kind of, even though women are very, very talented, I think there are some inherent, kind of characteristics which a women bring to the, obviously those are their strengths also, by the way, but I think that is where a lot of companies are focusing on, kind of a lot of grooming and mentoring of, women at various stages of their career, right. That's a very, very important initiative is what I would say. Be it early career, be it mid-career, because mid-career crisis is completely different, be it, return from work, return from a break, right, back to work, be it women who are in early leadership roles to take them to the next level of leadership, right. So I think that level of investment in the right grooming and coaching and mentoring of women, talented women in your company it's a no-brainer is what I would say, and many companies do invest in that. There are very specific, kind of mentoring programs which companies run, and that is something which really excites me, truly speaking. Everything else is, kind of
evolving, still evolving.
Anyways adjacent, you will get many things here and there, but I think that is the core, because we go to work to learn, to explore, to, kind of excel, to grow, right? And that kind of becomes the platform for us to, start building that multifaceted thinking, right? Having good mentors around you, having good, kind of people, leaders around you helps you learn a lot, which generally, you will not, because again, I think given that I did say that, right, we are very, very single focused in nature in general. Many women I've seen, they're very single focused in nature until unless they have good, kind of a platform where they can see many of these multiple aspects around them and supporting them. I've seen many people, many women especially, evolve very beautifully from those mentoring platforms. Many good companies are, in fact, and this becomes a good selling point for many companies, in fact, right, in terms of what kind of solid programming, mentoring programs we have specifically around women. And I would, apart from everything else in terms of, kind of a lot of supporting programs for women returning from break and all those things, which is quite common in the industry right now, and we should do. I think that is all taken, right? Like that has to be there. But I think enough investment in coaching, mentoring, kind of taking women to next level is very, very important.
Absolutely. And one thing that you were saying about having more women on a senior level, even like for me, for any one of us, like to see someone of our kind at a senior position, it's very comforting, right? You connect to them very quickly. Like obviously, like with professors or anyone, if it's just a female person, like you get that, you connect very quickly, and then you can make that mental connection, like, oh, I want to be like her. That's what I want to be. And it's easier to aspire yourself and look yourself in those roles, whereas sometimes it's hard for you to connect with someone else, right? Like if it's not the same person, you can't connect or see yourself in those positions because you can't see yourself having the same journey as they have. Like, and it's easier if it's the same person. If it's a female itself, it's easier for you to visualize your journey and even have those kind of dreams. So basically, I guess having more female on senior positions will help.
Definitely, it's all about looking up to your role models, right?
Right.
By the way, many companies these days, they invest in a lot of inclusivity also. So it's no longer only about women, right? I think having that compassionate thought in the higher leadership, whether it is male or female, right, is really, really important, truly speaking, right? Because at a certain point of time, I think, you'll start looking up to your leaders, whether they are male or female, right? And if there is, enough if the culture of the company, kind of imbibes, especially from the leadership level, right, that thought process, that inclusivity, right, part, then and definitely, women can easily blossom in that kind of a culture. I'm sure you must have thought through, in terms of, when you are setting your organization, how do you take care of, all those inclusivity, and how do you make sure even men in your organization, basically they can become role models for women, or they can look up to women role models.
Right. So for us, initially when we were setting up and having the team, the goal was to have like the best person. I mean, be it any gender, and particularly when a girl comes in, and since me being a woman co-founder, it's always been like, okay, taking care of them, making sure they are comfortable. It's a very small team that we have, but even if I get like some interns, I make sure that they are comfortable in the place, like with people around. That's something that we've taken initiative with. But I was recently part of something called United Nations Space for Women expert meeting, wherein we were all talking on how to solve all these problems. And at the end of the program, we were supposed to give like suggestions, and we all came up with some suggestions, like telling to have these directories or kind of follow things, not only in companies, or like even to an extent that space agency, right? To an extent that how do you bring in that more women into working, or give that experience, give that comfortable environment among them. So one of the major thing that was looked in over there was to work together, like make sure work together, so everyone knows what your problems are. Only then, like, not sure, just bring in women to understand what is the problem, and of course you need someone to understand what is happening, and you solve it together. At the same time, also to bring in something like or to encourage programs or projects which will include women and more people, so that it just reaches out more people. So what we are trying to do at SSCRD is, whenever we do any program, and for me one of the major interests being bring more girls into STEM and everything, try to stress on that word, telling you can do it, and try showing some role models. Those are something that I have been following in my organization, so that girls feel like, yes, I can do it. This is something that I've been doing, and I think everyone must do the same thing, like making them feel comfortable. Like as she said, for sure they gotta get this grooming on how to be with someone. Like recently we hired, and we had to tell them how you gotta be, and because you come from various culture, but when you're in a workplace, you gotta be like to be in a good way with everyone. So I think those are again like really important, those who are like starting off their career. And also the point that you said, like this gap of 2 years for those who are students as well as working people, it has changed the mindset of people. And I see that work culture is like gone just like that, but I see like that's important again to bring it back and make sure that okay, you feel the same comfortable, you feel that same thing, but also make sure the work is going and things are followed, so that kind of briefing things could be done so that things go better. This is what I think.
Yeah, and I think with startups and organizations that's starting up just now, they have a more free hand to come up with more different programs and experiment. I think this is a good time for programs to come up. And similarly, like with you, I think you will be having more positive experiences with all these programs having been kicked up, and being at a point where we are having a 34% of women are in there are like around 34% women in the IT industry, which has come up from being 6 to 8%. It's a good number. What are your, like, I want to understand which program did really made you feel like, okay, this is a place where everyone is welcomed and not just a man-centric
So there
area?
is a Women in Tech global chapter that was started a few years ago in 2015, and it was started in France. So over the course of the last few years, they've opened branches in several countries, and the recent branch in India started in April of last year. So it was a team of about 15 of us, and I handled their social media. I think it was a very good place for me to be, especially at that point of time, considering I was going to, enter IT, and I was very nervous about that. But then when you see women who've already achieved so much, and when they are also like inspiring you and pushing you to do the things that they've done, you just have first-hand experience of, like what women are really capable of. I think that, growing up, you want to be around a lot of people who are bold to take certain decisions, because that influences your mindset as well. If it's just one of those things where, if you're in a herd of sheep and they're all timid, then you're timid too. They say that you are the black sheep over there, but that's just so rare. It doesn't happen often, and that will never spread to the rest. You just hope to be in that crowd of, bold people, because that does rub off on you, especially because in college, when I started out, so I'm from Coog, and I don't have a lot of immediate engineers that I can look up to. So when I joined college, I had friends whose parents were from, IT companies. So for me, getting experience through their parents was kind of helpful, because they were guides in a very indirect way. And same with Women in Tech, because I could communicate with them, and because I was in charge of social media, and let's be honest, social media is very important these days, and it's so
absolutely.
influential, especially because I think every child has a phone, they're scrolling through Instagram, and if you can contribute in a small way just to make them aware of, the potential out there in the field of STEM, I think that's really important. So especially dealing with projects that require you to publicize events, you deal with feedback at the same time.
Right.
So for us, because whenever we've handled social media so far, I think we've been very fortunate to not get any negative feedback from people. It's always been positive, and people are very curious to know what we're up to, and we have mentorship programs too. So I think everyone's been super supportive and interested. But at the same time, I do know that if we ever do get negative feedback, it's a team of 20 of us, so it's not being targeted at one person, and we're all very supportive. So I don't think I'd ever feel the full impact of something that one person behind a screen is saying. I think it's very different compared to what you do, because I know that you handle social media by yourself. So how's your experience been that way?
Yeah, so my whole journey, I think pandemic changed everyone's life in some or the other way, and that made me realize I needed to have a personal brand for myself. I wanted to put myself out there and not just do my daily job, because I realized with the tech space being so competitive right now, you don't want to stay back, right? That's how I started my Twitter journey. I started creating content on Twitter, writing blogs, writing articles, threads about Web3 and all of that. Everything really most of it has been a good journey, but something that I've gotten a very negative feedback or trolling is around my content is closely compared or been around the fact that I'm a girl. So people question, like I've been questioned many times that, okay, you have a X amount of following because you're a girl. That's why people follow you and not because of your content. So I've felt like I have to talk about myself more, put more pressure just because I'm a girl. And if it was just someone else, they wouldn't have had to explain themselves or advocate for themselves. But I guess it will change with time, and with the environment that we are in, it will slowly change in time. And in the end, talent will speak for itself. But one thing that I think, as you were telling, that in the rural areas, there is a lot of talent which we haven't tapped on. So what do you think, what are the different kinds of programs that companies or organizations can come up with which will help them tap on this talent which is still not complete, which is completely off the show currently?
I think it's very important, first of all, to give them a briefing of what potential tech has, because I think they're unaware because they haven't seen it firsthand. So all of us, I know that when I was growing up, I was just very curious about what it was, what it really meant. So Coog is known for coffee, all I've seen are coffee plantations and agriculturists everywhere. So I was like, okay, this is a very wholesome upbringing, I get it. But then when you talk about IT, you're just very curious because it's just so alien, the term itself. There's no one who's going to directly come and tell you that, this is the potential in the field. So hopefully if you give children a briefing on what it is, they won't feel as scared to really go into those fields. I think that's the reason people are very hesitant. Like all of us have potential for that matter. I just think that a lot of people hesitate because they're not sure what it really means. And if you don't understand the foundation of it, you definitely will not want to pursue that. And with the mentorship program, I'm sure that children have a lot of interesting questions, so if they do ask the right questions and they get answers, especially to a level where they can comprehend it and at least have fun with it, I'm sure that they'd be open to wanting to go in that field too.
And I think with the whole pandemic, right, and with the whole evolution of the online world, I'm sure the scene will change, right? Because we do see now, kind of so many organizations coming into edtech space, going online with the outreach to almost every corner of the country, right? Which initially was not possible, obviously, with the whole offline era. I'm sure Nikita can speak about her experience in how in the edtech space, right? But I'm sure to your point, right? I think things will change from here now that we are much more evolved in that whole area.
I have a specific question for you. Like, you being an engineering manager, handling engineering is a very risky and a very task full of stress. It involves a lot of codes. If the code goes in production, it breaks. There's complete mess. If no one gets food that night. It's very scary. Do you I've felt like people say that women can't actually handle stress, while it's actually opposite, because women handle stress from family at the same time they can handle stress at work. Also, I want to understand from you, what are your thoughts on having high stress jobs which require to be available at every point of time if things go wrong, which is in contrast with what is thought about, like women have families, they have to take care of their children, which isn't really the thing. Man and woman can work equally. So what are your thoughts on that?
I think so. I have seen this struggle, right, in my throughout my journey in terms of how to balance work, life, and the stress, obviously associated with both aspects, right? I would say that again, that is where companies have invested a lot in kind of work from home and making the whole environment conducive for men, women, whoever needs that flexibility, right? I think that is very important. And whoever needs that flexibility, I think for them it is very important to identify that right organization which provides that flexibility. The environment has to be conducive for you to be able to sustain, because stress is there everywhere, no matter wherever you are, in whatever role we are playing. Not only about me as an engineering manager, right? I would say more than the stress, it's that desire to kind of drive larger impact, bring a lot of value onto the table, and that is which I think it's there with almost every one of us, right? So that added responsibility which we always happen to take on our shoulders, whether it is work, life, or anything, right? What is key there, I would say, is finding the right organization which you feel is you will supportive. Be able to which is supportive, which will give you that kind of right environment. That is one thing. And I think pandemic has changed the scene a lot, because I've been in organizations which were not very work from home friendly, and then I kind of struggled, truly speaking, right? Because you will need that kind of support where you should be able to drive impact once you are at home also. For example, I'm a woman. If I want to kind of go early to work, come back early from work, support my family, and then still happen to kind of have meaningful work in the evening or late night, right? I should have that kind of an opportunity. So pandemic has definitely changed that definition. I think more and more companies are going remote first, which is wonderful, I would say. It does add a lot of chaos in life, truly speaking, at some point of time, because you end up being at home and low networking and all those things. But I think having the right set of mindset, having the right set of tools, policies, kind of outweighs those negatives. All these remote first policies which are coming up, right, they do enable either men or women, whoever looking for that flexibility, to kind of work in flexible schedules, manage their personal time, pursue their hobbies, and basically drive the impact in whatever way you want to drive, right? I think that's more ownership on us, right, rather than fixing ourselves in that 9 to 6 schedule, or some schedule which will not work, right? I would say no, it won't. Our family will have different demands, our kids will have different demands. Someday, the kids, that flexibility is very, very important, truly speaking. So most of these organizations, I've been lucky, to get into those organizations which are very impact driven, right? The whole idea is it's your day, you manage it. At the end of the day, it's what the impact you're able to drive is what matters. And that is the right, I would say, platform for many of us, right? Not only women, yes, primarily women, but I think men also, truly speaking. So that flexibility is very, very important.
I think that's really insightful, especially because when I started working from home itself. I really don't know what an office culture is like. All I know is my desk and my bed, and that's about it. So I feel like the flexibility you're talking about, it's just very new to me when you say it that way, because that's all I know. I don't know any better.
Because I've seen both sides of the world where, I struggled making impact because the organization was not, kind of conducive for that kind of a flexibility, and versus where I am, where it is very conducive for that kind of flexibility. So I've seen that difference. So I can definitely sense that difference. But yeah, I know you are a new kid on the block in the remote world, right? So good for you, I would say.
Are there any funny stories or something? I'll give an example of something that happened with me. So I've been a developer the moment that I started my career, and I was.
By the way, you are a developer advocate. Would you want to kind of let us know in terms of how different this role is? Sorry for
No, that's absolutely fine. And I always look out for opportunities to talk about what I do, because if I tell someone who's new to the tech industry or hasn't known about it, they think that I am something doing in the legal side of a developer because I'm a developer advocate. But it's truly something that currently we have a lot of startups which are into the whole dev tools market, where we are creating tools which are for developers, because we know that the whole tech system is where developers are taking a lot of decisions. So that's where a developer advocate comes in, and my major job is to help other developers onboard products and be better at using developer-based products. Like for example, Postman. Every developer nowadays uses Postman. So if they have any issue with the app itself or the application itself, I come in between and help them out, and then even give the feedback to the product team. So it's a good bridge between, and I have to also create content around my product. So it's like content creation, it's product management, it's coding, it's everything packed into one role.
Also be aware of what's new.
Absolutely.
And keep telling. I think that's like really important.
That's a very diverse role, I would say.
Yeah.
Always be on the top of the trend, be empathetic.
Exactly.
Yeah, so what I was telling you is, I remember I was a part of a hackathon, and during the hackathon, we ended up being an all-girls team, and we were new hires into the company, and we won the hackathon. It was amazing, and someone had come up to me and asked me a different question which I wasn't expecting. They asked me like, so how does it feel to be a girl, and how does it feel to code so well, and I was taken aback, and my first question was like, did I write my code in pink color? Was it pink in color to tell that it's written by a girl? How do you differentiate if a code is written by a girl or a guy? And that bit actually never made it anywhere. But that made me realize we are putting a lot of stamps on the actual skill. In the end, skill should talk for itself, and not just like if it's girl or guy. Anyone who's good at the work. That's basically our end goal of this whole process, right? To make it equal with all these programs that we are having, is because there has been a gap in our history, to cover up the gap and then at some point go hand in hand, go equal, shoulder to shoulder, right?
No, I think absolutely right. And in fact, to a point, right, the whole hiring, the way we are hiring in the industry, right, there's no different hiring bar for a woman versus a man, right? We are all going through the same hiring bar, right? And I think that is very important. That mindset is very important. It's all about, kind of enabling women, truly speaking. And then beyond that, I think it's talent is what and skill is what will speak, right? We do need that enablement at times, given various factors which we already talked about, right? For example, many of the tech industries, right, what they will do is maybe they'll have a lot of focus for women in top of the funnel of their hiring, right? Bring more women on the top of the funnel. But then eventually when they go through the hiring process, it's the same, right? It's the same hiring bar. So it's like enabling more women to coming to the platform, but then eventually everyone has to, kind of fight for their own seat, right? So I'm sure since you are hiring, right, it will be the similar mindset, and you would have gone through a similar hiring process. But I don't see anywhere, any special privilege or anything given for women, and I think we all are proud of that fact that we kind of are equal. We stand equal, basically.
Right. I want to know from you, like, what was that moment where you felt like, oh, I did it and I needed to do this just to prove it to the world that I am capable of? What was that moment for you that made you feel I've done it? This is something I wanted to achieve and I've achieved.
Well, there's nothing like that, but I think I can recollect one, like when I was in college. I knew that I wanted to study aerospace and aeronautics and stuff. So when in the class full of students, we were asked, what do you want to do? And I was asked, and I said I wanted to do it. I want to become an aeronautical engineer. And there was a moment when the professor who asked me was like laughing at it and like, do you even know the spelling of aeronautics? Come on, right? I'm like, I mean, like, why? I didn't know what was behind it, but I went and wrote, and I had like full of tears in my eyes, and I just kept quiet, nothing. Okay. But then the thing is, in that whole batch, it turned out that I was the only topper from the whole, like the batch, and he literally called up to say that. I'm like, okay, thank you. I just kept quiet. But now I feel like, those are something which could have stopped anyone, but I think you should like go ahead and do it. Where now I feel like, I've been there, I've achieved what I wanted to study, plus at the same time, now my goal has been like encouraging more people. I mean,
Absolutely.
even if you like don't say anything, good, or like even if you don't encourage, just don't say negative thing, right?
Absolutely.
It's the world isn't that way, but I've been like trying to encourage more people and say that you can do it. All you need at some point of time is like you can do it. And my grandfather has been someone who's been telling that for me, like, you can do it, don't worry, just keep that one step. Just keep that one step, everything will go. And I've been doing that, and I've reached like so far, and I'm like, I'm very happy that I'm here to whatever level it is. But yeah, I think you just need to focus on what you want to achieve, and you will be there for sure. Today I'm so proud that like over like 50,000 students, not just students, I can say beneficiaries of all the ages have been part of our program, learning a lot and like exploring. I'm just happy that we're part of that.
Please have something. We've not been eating anything. Like, just have some. The
whole conversation is too interesting.
Too interesting, right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna dig in. Right?
You should. I want that. That's my favorite one, actually.
The chocolate?
The jelly.
I'll just give it to. Let's be sugar conscious.
Yeah. So that's where I feel like, and I had this one goal, like particularly being in space, that if you look out for content out there like to study, you usually go Google and you'll only find you'll find content like from different places, but what would be the first place from where you would learn is like NASA, right? I, being an Indian, and I always felt like, okay, there must be something of ISRO. ISRO is like, the dream place, right? And I always felt like, okay, we are into education. If we are given an opportunity to tell, like, we are into this and probably we could work with ISRO. It was like 3-4 years back. And I'm so happy after 4 years we've got that project, like, nice. To create that content for ISRO, and which will be like for everyone. I feel like everything that we've learned, the process of being with the students, the way to deliver it to students, all that has come together to put in this way, and I feel like I've done something, I think this is one of these achievements that I have in my life.
I think just to sum up what even Chanda was saying, it's you don't really need to be perfect. You just need to be bold and brave.
Exactly.
That's something that's really important for us to go ahead. And I think the change is happening. It's really we are sitting here, we're having these conversations. I think the change is happening.
For me, one of the best thing I can say is from the time that I started, I was a student, okay? I was in my 3rd year of aerospace engineering when I started my own organization. And I was like doing a lot of events and things. At a point of time after 2 years, I was like seeing whom all I'm working with. And I actually noticed that everyone whom I was working with were like women, like who were having their own small institutions or tuition centers, or who were like other founders and things. And it has been like so supportive. I have always felt that, okay, until that point when I look back and whom all I have worked, it's all ladies' name. I'm like, okay, now this is really good. I mean, that's something which one must feel, that you're there among the people who are doing big things. For me, another one thing which stress that Chanda was talking about was, my mom like is a working woman. I've seen her going early morning, coming back in the evening, making sure we get everything, making sure our grandparents have everything. To an extent that now I'm married, my mother-in-law is also a working woman. I see how she works, wakes up everything, makes sure everyone has everything, goes to work, comes back, and then again checks if everyone has everything. And I'm like newly married now, and I all the things that my parents and my family members have made sure is, you just worry about yourself, we'll take care of everything.
Great, I think.
But listening to her and the way my family members have been, is just like preparing myself to take more things,
More responsibilities?
I feel like, okay, I have to get into that as well now. That's what
This is the other syndrome, I would say. Most of the women, that whole self,
Being the superwoman, like you want to do everything.
I think this is, superwoman is just a fad, I would say. I think, have you ever heard people talking about Superman or something like in real life? Obviously, there's a Superman, but I don't know why women, fall into this whole pitfall of becoming superwoman.
Perfect.
Again, that's a very candid advice. Don't fall in that. I've gone through this journey, right? Where at point in time when I was feeling low, I wanted to kind of rise up and then become a superwoman, and then kind of do everything best and all those things, right? But it will only burn you out, right?
Absolutely.
You will not be able to sustain that. You might have some spiking moments, some good moments, some kind of memories out of that, but I think you are not setting yourself for a long run if you are going in that direction. So I think dropping that super and being a woman is very, very important, and that is where we should kind of look forward to a point. I keep telling my kids, right? My kids, they many times they'll make greeting cards like my super mom and all those things, right? So I always tell them, please don't write, I am your mom, not a super mom. I really don't want to play that role of super mom. I think that will not help, right? So I think it's very important to acknowledge, and it's very important to not to be perfect. I think that acceptance has to come within us rather than the people around us. People around us will never set those expectations. There are very few people who will set those expectations. But what happens mostly with most of the women is that whole, again, self, kind of...
the prodigal daughter, how
that,
she's perfect.
Yes. How do I take more? How do I become? So you will always want to, become that extra, pick up that extra role. I think it's important to leave it. At least as I have grown in my career, I have started dropping responsibilities, truly speaking, rather than taking more responsibilities. So it's very important to start dropping responsibilities, start focusing, start prioritizing, right? You will not be able to play it all. Trust me. So it's sharing the responsibilities, dropping, and then picking up what
you really want to do and
what that phase demands, right? What that current phase demands. So your phase will be very different right now, and you can go, all guns around, right? Versus yours, so you are newly married. You will be in a different phase. I have with kids, so I am in a completely different phase. I am sure your role demands a lot of different things, right? So I think understanding the current phase and changing rhythm as you go, right, is very, very important.
I have a question about, when people tell you to break the glass ceiling and even part of being superwoman, all of us have been triggered in some way or another. Like, for example, you spoke about your hackathon, and when someone gave you a very indirect compliment about, how a girl can write a code so well, or even your professor telling you, like if you could spell, so spell the engineering field that you want to do. And the same with some small comments about, it's not bad, but then they end it with, oh, not bad for a girl or something like that. So I think imposter syndrome also comes into play here, where you tend to doubt yourself. I know it's easy to say believe in yourself and, do all of that, but then sometimes it's difficult, especially when we don't give ourselves enough credit.
Absolutely.
So, and both of you have navigated your fields, and you've come a long way doing that too. So I'm pretty sure it was difficult. So how do you deal with indirect comments or even comments in your head, not giving yourself enough credit, where do you find the optimism from to push, keep pushing and keep
I would
trying?
say again, that whole acceptance, first of all, your self-acceptance is the key, truly speaking. See, at the end of it, you are
Stop judging yourself.
you are the boss of your life, right? As simple as that. So stop judging yourself, very rightly said, right? Stop judging yourself, stop, kind of challenging yourself at each and every moment to, kind of, it's okay, just relax, just chill at times, right? Just celebrate those small moments, small baby steps, what you have taken. I think we being as women, right, we do a lot of fantastic work. It's not that we don't do, but we just don't celebrate it, or we just don't talk about it. We just don't, kind of go all over the place about it. We should more and more, right? And that is what is really important, and acknowledge the fact that these baby steps are very, very important, right? It's not only about, going, becoming a superwoman in all aspects, right? If you are, excellent in one area, that itself is a good achievement. I think stopping, reflecting, celebrating those small wins and taking it gradual, right? We have to accept the fact that we are here for a long run, right? We are not here for a short game. We are not here for a year or two, or we are not here to prove anyone, right?
Very well said.
If we just keep that mindset of, okay, I have to prove, I have to just step up, I have to, kind of accelerate, I have to, kind of go, basically challenge the people around me. I think that whole mindset is going to burn you out. That will not help. Be yourself. There's nothing, you need to prove here. You are here because you
want to be.
And you have that talent, right? You are not here because of anyone else. Because of your talent, because of your skills, you are here. So just, kind of feel happy about it, celebrate it, take those baby steps, plan for it, plan short term, mid term, long term, have, the right kind of mentoring and support system around you. That is very, very important. And that's the only advice I give, because I have gone through this. I have seen this all, at least, I've gone through all of these phases. What I'm saying, don't do it. I've done it myself, truly speaking. And I've learned through those experiences, right? But I have reached a phase where, I've started, as I said, right? I have started dropping responsibilities. It's okay. It's okay to, leave few things. It's all about prioritization, right? At times you'll be able to, so saying no is an art, right?
It's absolutely.
And that is what I would, kind of encourage everyone. In fact, it's very, very important. We have that, tendency to say yes to everything. Okay, it's my responsibility,
Not hurt anyone.
It's my responsibility. More than that, everything. Smaller things at home, smaller things at work, smaller things, social life, everything you feel like, okay, I should do this, I have to do this, and all those things. It's okay. I mean, once in a while, no, I can't do it. It's as simple as that, right? No, today I can't serve dinner. Take it yourself. Yeah. As simple as that, right? It's a very simple thing. I've changed this whole mindset for myself rather than anyone else. So that changing that mindset for yourself is very important, actually.
And I've realized all of this trickles down to your own confidence, and you start having imposter syndromes, and that affects, and that's seen a lot when you're like, if you're applying for a company and you're negotiating, you always downplay yourself. Like a lot of times, I have done that for a very long time. I didn't know my own worth. Like if I'm negotiating over my salary or something, I would just tell a number which I think I deserve, but not something that the whole market thinks I deserve. So sometimes you could be like exploited on these things, and I feel as a part of a good culture of a company, where a company can also push these things and tell what, and like not exploit on these terms where they see a candidate who's a bit low on self confidence, or actually support them and let them know what the market is, how the market is going, make it an equal game for everyone. Yes. Could be a great green flag, for you to be a part of a company which is more supportive towards you more than you yourself are for yourself, right?
Yes, that's a very, very important area. Again, many companies are investing. In fact, this whole gender parity, and especially on the pay part, it's a very important aspect which you touched upon, right? And I'm sure we all must have gone through this, right? In terms of how confident we feel in those important moments of negotiations, right? But again, a good corporate would basically, kind of help sail through this.
Not just that, like not just one program, but also like things like during maternity, like women having good daycare centers, having places where they could take care of their newborns, and all of these small things I think can make any woman feel safer and want to be a part of that organization, which acknowledges that women will have some special needs, like something that Zomato did, like with the period leave. That's something amazing, and I think every company should take it up. Basically, being more inclusive and understand that there will be some needs which will not be similar to men. Not, and in every aspect, be it your game activities, anything, being aware that you have the other counterpart also in the team, I think. So it's been a good conversation, and I've really been enjoying how we have different perspectives coming in. And what would be your last like something which you about over the 18 years, like what would be if we had to write a book or 2 lines in the book about your journey, about where you see women in tech going and the whole industry shaping, what would your thoughts be?
I think again I would just emphasize on a couple of things specifically for women. One is obviously invest in yourself. I think that's very important at each phase of your career, at each phase of your life. That whole self investment in your own thought is very important, first of all. And I think the second very important aspect is be yourself. We are here in an equal world. We are here because we are meant to be here. I think being yourself is very important, rather than kind of chasing any kind of beliefs around us, right? And I think the last thing which we all spoke about is kind of don't stop yourself, right? I think most of these limitations, boundaries, few of them are external, but most of them are self-driven, right? So I think that's my key message. I think once we kind of start dealing with this, right, the industry has evolved. There is a lot of support out there. At grassroots levels, there are a lot of changes happening. At tech space is blooming, right? So things will change for good, right? It's all about how
taking the first step.
Yeah, how we evolve ourselves, basically.
What are your thoughts about women who want to become entrepreneurs and want to start something of their own? What would you suggest and advise them?
I think if they've taken a decision of starting something their own, they're like at the right time, because till now you felt like, okay, you couldn't do something, and now you've taken a decision that I want to do something. And being an entrepreneur will give you more freedom to do what you want to.
Right.
And for sure, we all know that girls or women, we put our 100% to do what we want, like be it anything, and that comes out as that part of thing in the women will make sure a women entrepreneur be successful. And just need to make sure that you're like something different from everyone, and the product that you're building around, and it has that innovative idea or the technology, how good you are, and how, like, even if there are things around how different are you from others and what is best in yours, like the product or the whole company, the way you would work, everything, I think that will give a lot of value added. And for sure, like right now with all the women in STEM and people supporting women, and then there are like government also supporting women entrepreneurs, make use of those opportunities, right? Like there are like a lot of grants given for women entrepreneurs. I mean, being an entrepreneur, I see like a lot of emails which is telling, okay, this is a women entrepreneur acceleration program. I mean, for everyone who wants to like begin with, you have a lot of, or like you have access to all those people whom you can learn from and things. So people are supporting, and this is the right time. Learn as much as possible, give your best, and I'm pretty sure they'll be successful in their life.
And for you, like, you're a Gen Z, I am a Gen Z. what would be a dream workplace for you to work in? Like if you could create your own workplace and check all the boxes, like this is the place I want to work in, what would be the description for such kind of a workplace?
Like you said, because you're Gen Z, I think we're a very vocal
I think I'm also a
generation.
Gen Z. Don't push me around.
Everyone's a Gen Z here.
I think that because we're a very vocal generation, we want our thoughts heard. So I think the most important thing would be to definitely express whatever concern or even a little bit of like maybe opinions we have. We want it to be valued more than anything, and we want space for growth. So even with a generation gap, we still want our thoughts valued at the end of the day. I feel like people always underplay the effect that words and actions have, and in some way all the people we've met have influenced us to some extent. And it like especially female role models for that matter, it could be my mother or my grandmother even, they have some qualities that I know that I've always wanted to embody, and I brought that with me. That doesn't take away from me being who I want to be and me being true to myself, but at the same time I feel like even in a workplace there are people around you who will influence you to some extent. So you want to make sure that the mindset of the people there is open enough, and you find potential for growth in different aspects, whatever it could be. Even in your project, if you're speaking to your manager, if you're speaking to your team lead, whatever it may be, you still want growth coming out of it.
Absolutely.
I think that would be ideal.
I think I've loved this conversation where we've had inputs from all types and experiences coming up in the industry. And
I have a couple of questions for you. I know.
Please go ahead.
So, way I think Nikita expressed her, the moment, right? What is that the moment for you, which you can maybe remember on top of your mind?
There have been, so one was which is still going to happen. It's been the moment I never imagined it. So when I started my personal branding journey on Twitter, I applied for different things. I used to apply for all these different exams, courses, and one day I just get an email in my inbox that says that you've been given a grant to go to Las Vegas and attend the AWS reInvent conference, and totally funded. And that is like a dream come true for me. And that day I was screaming and telling like I made it, because I was really looking forward to that one grant, and because I'm a developer advocate, conferences have a very big part of my job. So that day it felt like, okay, I've done something and I deserved that grant. And it took time for me to even accept it. As you were saying, like I thought, was it a mistake by them? I checked the email ID twice, like is it legit? But then after some point I decided no, it's something that I've done. I took credit about it, and yeah, that was something that I'll always remember. And this is going to happen this November.
Nice.
Let's hope.
Will be best.
Good.
But yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for this amazing conversation. And I guess something that all of us will agree is to be brave, to be bold, and to break the biases, I guess.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.